Let's be honest, when Sweden announced they were building a new fighter jet, the world sort of sniggered. Sweden, a country famous for sensible cars, flat-pack furniture, a worrying obsession with herring. And now they wanted to play with the big boys, America, Russia, Euro consortiums. It was like watching your sensible bearded geography teacher announce he was entering a heavyweight boxing match. You wouldn't laugh out loud because that would be rude. But inside you'd be crying with laughter. The whole idea was just preposterous, a joke waiting for a punchline. The experts, the ones with impressive-sounding titles and degrees in telling everyone else they're wrong, were particularly dismissive. They looked at the designs for this Gripen. It was too small. It didn't have two engines. It didn't look particularly scary. In the high-stakes, testosterone-fueled world of fighter jets, this thing looked like a polite hatchback turning up to a monster truck rally. It was the aviation equivalent of bringing a spork to a sword fight. The consensus was clear. The Swedes had lost their minds. They were about to spend billions on a flying piece of IKEA furniture that would be shot out of the sky before the pilot had even finished his morning coffee. The mockery wasn't quiet. It was whispered in the halls of power and written in the glossy pages of defense magazines. Quaint, they called it. A boutique jet. The Americans had their F-16s and were developing the F-22. The Europeans were pouring a GDP-sized mountain of cash into the Eurofighter Typhoon, a twin-engined beast of a thing. And what did Sweden have? A little single-engine jet that looked like it was designed to be easy to park. But a David who had forgotten his slingshot and was armed only with a cheerful disposition. The world watched, arms folded, with a smug sense of certainty. This was going to be a failure. A colossal, embarrassing, eye-wateringly expensive failure. The Gripen was destined to become a footnote in aviation history, a cautionary tale told to young engineers about the dangers of dreaming too big with a budget too small. The stage was set for a spectacular flop, but the Swedes, in their typically quiet and methodical way, just kept on working. They weren't building a jet to impress the critics, they were building a jet to do a job. And that, as it turned out, would make all the difference. So why was everyone so convinced the Gripen was a dud? Well, for a start, look at the price tag. In the world of military hardware, expensive means good. If it costs more than a small country's entire economy, it must be brilliant. The Gripen was affordable, suspiciously affordable. The Swedes, however, approached it with the same mindset as a man furnishing his first apartment. They wanted something that worked, looked decent, and didn't require selling a kidney. This fiscal responsibility was seen not as clever, but as cheap. Then there was its size. The Gripen is, and let's not beat around the bush, Dinky, it's like a Jack Russell Terrier standing next to a pair of Great Danes. One engine meant you were cutting corners. This was the dawn of the stealth era. The Gripen, on the other hand, wasn't a stealth fighter. You could see it on radar. It was seen as a generation behind before it even left the hangar. The Gripen was a product of a different philosophy. Swedish pragmatism. To a world obsessed with bigger, faster and more expensive, this looked like obsolescence. The first stroke of genius was balance. The Gripen was designed to be a jack of all trades. It could switch roles with the flick of a switch. The Swedes knew pristine runways would be the first to go, so they designed the Gripen to operate from anywhere, literally. While other jets need a perfect, sanitized environment, the Gripen can use a glorified car park. Maintenance by a handful of conscripts with simple tools. A full rearm and refuel in under 10 minutes. The cost per flight hour for a Gripen is a fraction of a Typhoon or a Raptor. And a well-trained pilot in a good jet is far more dangerous than a poorly trained one in a great jet. The real test, the moment the sniggering began to fade, came in the dusty deserts of Nevada. It came at an exercise called Red Flag. When the Swedes brought their little Gripen, many in the Pentagon probably had a good chuckle. Except that's not what happened. It didn't just survive, it dominated. Small, unassuming Swedish fighters were achieving stunning results. In one exercise in Alaska, Gripen C and D reportedly achieved a 10-to-1 kill ratio. Powerful radar, revolutionary data link, and extreme agility let it see, share, engage, and disengage at will. It didn't fight like everyone else, it used its brain. The Germans arrived with their pride and joy, the Eurofighter Typhoon, and then nothing. Their radars couldn't find the Gripens, not stealth like an F-22. Electronic warfare was blinding state-of-the-art sensors. Suddenly, missile lock from nowhere. Network tactics and powerful jamming got them close and lethal. The hunters had become the hunted, a silent electronic massacre. The Gripen's strength wasn't raw figures, it was systems. Modern air combat is about information. See without being seen, share seamlessly, blind the enemy. The answer, the data link. One Gripen radiates, three fly dark. All four see the same picture in real time. The wingman fires from a flank using the lead's radar data. A sucker punch by a ghost. One jams, another targets, a third launches. Four jets become one thinking weapon. It's not the airframe, it's the network brain. While others built a faster fist, Sweden built a bigger brain. The stories leaked out, the laughter died. Respect grew, and so did interest. Thailand integrated Gripen with Aviation to build a network defense on a budget. Brazil selected the Gripen over pricier rivals and signed on to co-produce the next generation. The punchline became a powerhouse, the smart fighter. While big nations stayed with heavyweights, Gripen carved an essential niche. Proof you don't need to spend $100 million per plane for a modern air force. The UK chose Gripen for the Empire Test Pilots School. Safe, reliable, agile, advanced. Training the pilots who go on to fly Typhoon and F-35. With the Gripen, and more deadly. Never underestimate the quiet ones. While others shouted about power, the Swedes solved problems. The genius isn't one part. It's the whole: balance, low running costs, road-based capability, a cockpit that helps, and a game-changing data link. A triumph of systems integration, smart design over brute force. The information war is as important as the physical one. Networked air combat was revolutionary then. Today it's standard. You don't need a massive budget to build world-class technology. Pragmatism and clever thinking can beat sheer force. The JAS-39 Gripen didn't just earn its place among the best, it rewrote the rules for how the game is played. It's a lesson in humility for superpowers, a beacon of hope for smaller nations. A testament to the simple, brilliant, and frankly terrifying power of Swedish logic, and that is a fact you absolutely can believe.